welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're getting into something incredibly profound, a literal game changer for how we experience reality. We're going to be looking at a major transition, the shift from basically operating as a reactive biological machine that's constantly getting hijacked by the modern world, to actually stepping up and into the role of a conscious observer. It's really this journey from feeling confused and fragmented to achieving what we call deep neurological sovereignty. And hey, if you've ever felt like you totally know what you should do, but you just keep finding yourself repeating the exact same patterns you want to break, well, you are definitely in the right place. Okay, let's just dive right into this core idea. Stop being a passenger in a life you were meant to design. I mean, wow, right? This speaks so directly to that massive frustration so many of us feel. Because look, you read the books, you do the work, you understand your triggers, but then, in the heat of the moment, boom, you react. You fall right back into that old coding. And you might be wondering, why does that happen? Well, it's because insight alone almost never changes a life. If we actually want to transform, we've got to look under the hood at the underlying system that's running the whole show. To really get why we stay stuck playing the role of the passenger, we have to talk about the environment we're currently operating in. The source material refers to this as the 2026 condition. It's basically a term for this completely unprecedented era of digital and sensory saturation that we are speeding into. Just take a second and think about the sheer weight of what your mind is forced to process every single day. The constant pinging, the endless doom scrolling, that manufactured sense of urgency, the nonstop notifications. It creates this state of chronic, heavy stimulation that literally, physically weighs down your nervous system. So here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. You are not broken. Seriously. Your central nervous system is this ancient, incredibly highly tuned survival mechanism. It was built to detect threats, to save energy, and to look for certainty by just repeating whatever feels familiar. But right now, you are trying to run that ancient software inside a wildly hyperstimulated modern world. We're talking endless inputs, totally compressed timelines, and algorithmic stimulation. To put that into perspective, your nervous system is processing millions of bits of information every single second, while your conscious mind is just sitting there trying to handle about 40. It's no wonder your attention and emotions are constantly getting hijacked. When you feel overwhelmed and just default to your oldest habits, that is not a character flaw. It's literally just your biology doing exactly what it was wired to do when it's under chronic cognitive overload. All right, so let's use these two profiles to do a little self-diagnosis. Look at the stark contrast in behavior here. The passenger, they just live on autopilot. They feel a surge of emotion and they instantly obey it. They hear a thought pop into their head and they automatically believe it's true. They totally confuse their nervous system firing off with objective truth. The architect, on the other hand, operates completely differently. The architect feels that exact same trigger, but instead of reacting, they observe the story their mind is trying to tell them. They actually challenge those cognitive biases, things like confirmation bias, that are just trying to protect the old identity. And then finally, they choose their response. And as you'll see illustrated here, notice this kind of shield of awareness that starts forming. This right here is the exact moment we reclaim authorship over our own internal reality. The sovereign architect doesn't sit around pretending that triggers are just going to magically disappear. They just meet them differently. You see, you aren't merely a mind that reacts. You're the one who can actually observe that reaction taking place. You're not just the pattern, you're the one with the power to interrupt the pattern. The literal second you start studying your own reactions without judging them, you're already separating yourself from them. Let's dig a little deeper into this architecture, because our sources introduce this truly fascinating concept called the human. What this does is frame the physical body not as your actual identity, but rather as a biological machine. It's like a frequency tuner. Your nervous system is basically out there decoding electrical impulses from the external world and then playing them back to your brain as a program. Now, I know that might sound just a bit esoteric at first, but think about it in really practical terms. Your body's an antenna, and it's picking up stress signals. When we completely identify with our physical body and all its automatic, fragmented reactions, we stay trapped in the simulation. We remain just passengers. So the big question is, how do we detach from all of that? Well, we do it by fully embracing this incredible inversion. I am the spirit, the observer, operating a biological machine. I want you to just pause for a second and let the power of that really sink in. You are the intelligence, the God within that is operating the body. Those intense physical sensations of anxiety, the heat of anger, that overwhelming urge to just retreat, those are just signals passing through the machine. They are not you. This realization, this is the gateway to what the sources refer to as neurological sovereignty. It's that massive transition from a really fragmented, reactive operating system over to a unified perception that's entirely governed by the observer. But there is a catch here. Sovereignty isn't just a fleeting feeling, and it's definitely not just having a cool aha moment or insight. Awareness is only the very first step. To actually reclaim your sovereignty, you have to move from just grasping the concept to fully embodying it in your character. Because honestly, your biology is only going to change when your daily behavior starts supplying it with new proof. And that perfectly tees up our tactical solution here, the master protocol. The entire massive concept of neurological sovereignty can basically be boiled down to one operational principle: repetition in the gap. Look, life moves insanely fast, emotions surge, that ancient reptilian part of your brain instantly reaches for the steering wheel. But winning the battle for your life, that happens entirely in the tiny, tiny gap between the stimulus hitting you and your reaction to it. That gap is where the pattern becomes visible, and it's the only place where the old script can actually be interrupted. To truly master that gap, the source material hands us this incredibly practical real-time intervention protocol. Let's walk through it together. Step 1, pause. Just detect that biological sensation. Maybe it's the heat in your chest or the tingle of a lower vibrational trigger. Step 2, recognize. Consciously notice that you are reacting, rather than just passively existing in the moment. Step 3, name the belief. Ask yourself, what is this old script actually trying to tell me right now? Step 4, recode. Give your mind a brand new, better sentence to organize itself around. And finally, step 5, act. Choose a new response, and it seriously doesn't matter how small it is. I really want to hone in on steps 4 and 5 for a second, because the protocol explicitly maps out how to apply this in our messy, real lives. When you recode, you absolutely do not use those inflated, kind of toxic positivity affirmations. No way. You use grounded truth. So instead of trying to tell yourself, I am perfect and totally fearless, the recode is something like, okay, this is just nervous system activation. This isn't actual evidence that I'm unsafe. Or someone's silence is not automatically a rejection. And from there, you choose the smallest possible sovereign action. Maybe that means taking 3 deep breaths before typing out a reply, or just delaying a reactive text message for 5 minutes. Every single time you take that tiny action, you are actively teaching your body to trust the new code. You are literally proving to your nervous system that you are the architect. You know, you were never meant to just inherit an old, outdated script and call it your destiny. You have the inherent power to observe the machine, to find and pause in that gap, and to truly step into your neurological sovereignty. I really hope this explainer has given you a solid framework to start observing your own patterns starting today. Get out there and start claiming that gap. Are you reacting or are you architecting? Follow for neurological sovereignty.